Hi everyone and warm welcome to the topic of how to make the best first impression. And no, we're not going to be discussing dating during this session. This is actually about the onboarding process for new joiners in your organization. So important to point that out first of all. And my name is Martin and I have the honor to moderate this webinar. I'm currently the HR and talent acquisition lead at Team Taylor. And today's topic is something that is very close to my heart. So I'm super excited to hear more about this from our great panel. You've seen their names and their faces on the invitations, but I think we're all excited to hear more about them. So I'm gonna go around the table and let you all introduce yourself. So maybe we can start with Alex from Hi Bob.
Yes, hey, I'm Alex. I'm People and Culture Partner at Hi Bob. We are a people management platform, so covering a whole host of areas in HR throughout the employee experience and life cycle. We are almost 200 employees now across Israel, the UK, the Netherlands, and all over the US. And our customers are all over the place as well. And we, I guess, in terms of onboarding and how many new people we're seeing, we're growing super quickly at the moment. So we're probably doing maybe around 5 to 10 onboardings a month at the moment. So lots has changed this year and I'm super excited to talk about this topic with you all.
Sounds intense that a lot of things are happening at Hi Bob.
Yeah, it's always busy.
Good to hear. And let's head over to Mats from Exitech.
Yes. Hi guys, my name is Mats Stegemann. I work as a people and culture manager at Exitech. We are a Swedish-based IT consultant firm and work in ERP systems for the most part. We are right now we are around 300 employees in Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, and I think quite similar size in the case of onboardings, around 10 a month, or I've written down 100 a year, something like that. We are one of right now we are Sweden's fastest growing IT consultant firm. So I'm really happy to be here and to share some of our secrets.
And we're looking forward to hear them as well, Mats. Thank you so much. So let's head over to Matilda from Phoenix Outdoor.
Thank you so much, Martin. Hi, everyone. My name is Matilda. Really nice to see so many joining in on this webinar. It's always nice to discuss these kind of topics. As Martin said, I am working at Phoenix Outdoor. So I'm working as a global talent and project manager there. And one of my main responsibilities is essentially how we kick off, how we start off the employee or candidate journey for all amazing talent out there. So talent acquisition, and that, you know, is recruitment. It's also onboarding. And a little bit about Phoenix Outdoor. We are a global group of premium outdoor brands. So we both develop, but also sell both clothing and outdoor equipment to enable people to get closer to nature and really create unforgettable moments in it. And it's kind of the same vision that we have for the work we do within onboarding. We want people to be able to connect with us at a deeper level, so to say, because as we will see, onboarding is very much about connection. So that's great. We're about 3,000 employees worldwide, and we have store operations, but also brand operations internationally. So maybe I'm representing in that sense, both Germany, but also the US, Nordics, but we also have stores in other parts of the world as well. So onboarding is really important for us in that sense, and has become, of course, in this new virtual world, even more important throughout the last year. So great to be here to share experiences about this important topic.
Thank you, Matilda. And I like the scenery you have behind you on your screen as well.
Yes, when you can't be in the mountains, then you can at least like pretend that you're in the mountains. I think that's a good way to start it off, right?
I totally agree. Love it. And last but not least, we have Vedran from Typalane. Maybe you could introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi guys, my name is Vedran. I'm the founder and CEO of Typalane. We are a Stockholm-based startup. We're about 20 people now and kind of growing fast. And we basically built a platform to help companies handle their employee experience and pre-boarding, onboarding, and offboarding in particular. So we have the opportunity to work with a lot of clients across both the EU and the US, helping them with their employee onboarding, their pre-boarding and offboarding. So I'm super excited about this, especially since we get the opportunity to see a lot of companies onboarding from basically first message until an offboarding message at the end of the journey. So I'm super excited to be here and talk more about this with you guys.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for the introductions. And we will very soon start with the first questions, but I just wanted to mention a few things first for the panel and for everyone who's participating. I will actually activate a poll right now where you as participants are able to share your thoughts regarding regarding this topic as well. So we will follow up the numbers of this anonymous poll later on in the session. So you can start replying to it right away while I'm rambling on a little bit of practical things. Yeah, because I also wanted to mention that apart from participating in the poll, we would love to have participations in terms of questions as well. So in the bottom of the Zoom call, you see a Q&A field. Here you can type questions to the panel, and we will try to answer as many as possible during the session and during the discussion, but we will probably make some time by the end to go through as many as possible, so we don't miss out on anything interesting. And yeah, we have a lot of replies already on the poll. Love to see that. Okay, I'm going to keep it open a little bit longer so people can still participate, but we will start with the first question for the panel. And I think when talking about the topic of how to make the best first impression, a very relevant first question would be for the whole panel. We can go around the table that when would you actually say that the onboarding phase starts for a new joiner? And I was thinking that Vedran, you spoke last now, so I will head over to you to answer this first question.
No pressure at all. I think from our end, usually what we recommend clients is to start as soon as the contract is signed, to kind of build on that experience you created during the recruitment process, not to create a vacuum or gap in between it, but rather build on that positive feeling. It doesn't need to be heavy, it doesn't need to be packed with a lot of content. It could be super light, just kind of explaining the next step, what's going to happen when. So we usually recommend that to start as soon as possible, to kind of build on that excitement, on that feeling you created during the recruitment process. So that's usually what we recommend clients do.
Yeah, what would the rest of the panel say? Matilda, do you want to take the next one?
Yeah, exactly. Since I was, prior to Vedran, then I have to take it in order, right?
Go the other way around.
No, but I think that, a lot of what Vedran is pointing to is really important. I think that for me, or for us at Phoenix, it already starts even before that, because for us, of course, we have the full chain of having recruitment and then going into onboarding. And I think that the candidate journey, the journey about feeling that connectedness already starts in the hiring process. So actually making sure that you have candidate experience at the top of your mind when you create the recruitment process, and then having the seamless integration into onboarding. Because I think that throughout the different steps of the hiring process, but also the onboarding process, the candidate or the employee, the future employee, will have different needs. And you need to actually be able to map those needs as well. But I think, as Vedran is pointing to, like bringing that clarity as soon as possible, like, what can you expect, what will be the next step, and so on. And just, it doesn't have to be anything grandiose, but just having that outlined. And then as soon as possible, starting to think about, okay, how do you then build that connection? Because then you want to build a connection to the company, a connection to the team that you're joining, and also an understanding of what business you're running. So I would say it starts even, further, so to say, down the line, or backtracking to the hiring process?
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think the main focus here should be to be seamless from the recruitment process into the onboarding process. I see we got a question here in the chat where they ask if you have a long time from signing of a contract to the start point for the employee, and then I think it's I really agree that the most important thing is to communicate the expectations, what to expect. We, for example, we have quite a lot of people who start at the same time. We are managing a quite big training program, and for us, we have some focus points every year where we have like a meet and greet. Right now, we are facilitating them digital, of course. But I think it's much more important to communicate the expectations than to make fancy things, because that's usually what the future employees want to know, if they should contribute themselves and so forth. So, but a meet and greet, if you have many people who is starting at the same time, has been really appreciated and builds on that energy from the moment that you sign a contract to the day that you start.
Yeah,
Should we talk to you, Alex?
yeah, I can jump in as well. I think I can echo everything you've all said. It definitely starts way before day one, and you have such a good opportunity like throughout the candidate experience to really demonstrate what the company vibe is like and show them, any candidate or future employee, what it's going to actually be like for them to join you. So there's such good stepping stones you can take throughout that. And I love this idea of a meet and greet as well. We quite often have like in the recruitment stage, we have like a meet the team element where actually they get to meet people from the team or people that they might work with closely, so as well they can like get to know other people before they've even joined, and or be matched up with whoever a buddy is before day one, that kind of thing, so that there's like a few different touch points before we actually get to the first day. But yeah, very similar experience, I think.
And I just wanted to also echo a little bit there, because there was also now a question in the chat on, what are some of the best practices for managers to build a connection? And I think it also relates back to, keeping them engaged and like having a clear journey. Like, okay, we have that set for Phoenix, for example, like, okay, depending on where they start in the world, because of course notice periods might be different, but then you have a set journey that, okay, at this date, then you send out the first message to the candidate, and that can be about, we cannot wait for you to join Phoenix. This is what Phoenix is about. These are some of the current, things that we're working on, depending on if you're starting in a so to say retail environment, or if you're starting in an office environment, it might look differently. So we try to send them, information, but not too much at the same time. So we try to map it. So what is the idea of each message that goes out, and what purpose does it have? And then, we have the opportunity of working with an internal podcast. So we actually also work with that one in one of the sequences, just to provide different types of material for the candidate or for the new employees to also digest. And I think one way that you can connect as a manager is like reaching out, like, hey, I'm so excited, sending a text, making that call, like, would you like to participate in, and this is of course, depending on where you are in the world again, because in Germany, for example, it's very kind of sincere in when you can start like approaching candidates and so on. But if you are in a legal context where it's okay, then you can actually like, take a virtual coffee with the team, like starting to get to know them already, and like having this more to say personal connections. So what do you do in your leisure time? Can you find some similar interests? What is the other team about? Because we will all have that feeling at the first day. It's like the first day of starting school, like, what will this be like, right? So I think the more, less drama you can make about that first day so they can hit the ground running, I think that all things are good, ask the candidate, you know, how would you like to connect? I think that that's also a nice way of doing it.
And now, you touched on a lot of things now. I think was really good, Matilda, and all of the panel. It was super interesting to hear. And I was curious to follow up a little bit on that, on your actual onboarding processes today. Do you use any automated tools in order to reach out to candidates in a certain point of time, or how do you actually do it in practice? I'm very curious to hear. I'm here to learn.
You want to go first, Alex?
Go on then, yeah, sure. So we have, obviously, from once a candidate has signed their offer, completed their contract, we invite them to our platform, Bob, and they're reached out to straight away. And it's super cool. We can customize all of that. So we can customize the message that they get, and it sends them some really nice information, like, we're so excited you're joining us, like, go through this onboarding flow and add in a whole bunch of your details. So actually they can start to get a glimpse of what our platform looks like, and fill in all their information. So we've got that. And we do things like Matilda was saying, like collecting nice information about them, like their hobbies and the languages they speak and things like that, that they can share with us before they've even joined. And they get as well a nice little screen there where they can see like who our CEO is and who their manager is going to be, who their buddy will be. So they just get a glimpse before they join. And then we usually share like a few different touch points, again, depending on how much time there is between when they're actually joining us. And some of the like welcome emails with more basic information, like, you know, this is the Zoom link for day one now, and those kind of things, which I think really can't be underestimated as well. Yeah, so a few different like email reach outs, getting their details, sending out their like equipment now and telling them that it's on the way. And then once they've joined, I think if we want to cover that now already, once they've joined, we usually have for most of our roles, we've got like starting to get a lot more of a structured process for their training, especially for the first few weeks. So I think it's probably quite strange for a lot of new people who are sat at home by themselves, like trying to take everything in when they've joined a new company. So especially this year, we've tried to make that a lot more structured for them, making sure they know like what's coming up for the week and like what does your first week actually look like, what are you going to get involved in, who do we want you to meet, and those kind of things. And we spend quite a lot of time on like the systems that you'll use, what our company is actually all about, the platform itself. I think for us that's a massive perk, that everyone wants to get involved and learn how to use our product, because we're going to talk about it, and we actually get to do that through the onboarding process too. So yeah, that's the like kind of typical first few weeks. I'm not sure how that's, if it's similar or quite different to the rest of you.
I can continue there. We also use HiBob as our HRM system, so we are quite similar in the automatic part, where we have some to-do lists, both from the company side, but also interacting with the future employees. So we have built some to-do lists which have like timed emails and such things. I think one really important thing is to you know, ahead of the start date, then it's quite easy to make a plan where you can 1 month before start, then you should have this info. And we also, as I talked about earlier, we invite also if there are many who start at the same day, then we invite them to meet each other and also to meet the team at one point. Then I think if we go ahead when they have started and their first time and their first week at our place, then we think it's really important to have a lot of planned activities, so you really feel welcomed and you know what to do. You should not have to search yourself as much. And then it's really good also to have some automated tasks for that time that's not scheduled in the calendar. So you always have like a list of things that you could do if you have some spare time. This is extra important this year when a lot of the work is remote, and it's hard to look not busy. So but as for tech, we have HiBob, which is a great product on the onboarding part. But we also, of course, use like the calendars for the new employees, and we send out emails other ways as well. So I think that's summarized.
No, but that's great to hear. And for us, it's like, you know, the tools should not be the aim of what you're doing. First of all, you kind of like, as you were saying, need to set the process of, okay, what do I want my newcomer to learn? And I think I can echo a lot of what has already been said. So I'm not going to repeat, I'm more going to add. I think that for us, it's been a lot about finding in the end systems that can really work towards a greater experience for our candidates. So we use, you know, for recruitment, we use TeamTailor, and then, you know, we use Typlane as the onboarding solution, and they actually intervene very, very efficiently. But what we've done then is, like I was stating before, given that we have such a diverse, I would say, set of people joining in different roles, we've actually created different journeys. So the journeys will look a little bit different. We have a Phoenix journey that is for all, where you actually tell a lot about, okay, this is Phoenix, this is what you can expect from us as a company, this is what we expect from you, just to, again, be clear on expectations, because I think that that's also, you know, what onboarding is there for, and also pre-boarding. What can I expect from the first like 60 to 90 days? Because those days are really crucial in order to make the person stay or not. The impression they have during that time frame is really important. So if you're going to focus on anything, make sure that you set your process for those days, because it's crucial. But then, of course, linking it to, okay, what kind of engaging material do we have? We also have a manager edition in our journey. So for a manager, the onboarding is a little bit different because you're leading a team. You're not only an individual contributor. So there we add a lot about manuals that we have for our managers. What do we expect from you? What tools do you have in order to you know, engage with your team in the best possible way, and so on. So I think the first one is getting introduced to the company, then getting introduced to, okay, what team, what manager will I belong to? What work will I do? Like, what's my place in all of this context? And then, you know, you can start to actually connect to the team. And that is one of the most important connections. Can you go out for a virtual lunch together with the team, for example, the first week? That is one of the things that we have in our journeys, that you actually have a session or several sessions where you sit down and discuss your role with your manager, you discuss your mandate, you discuss, you know, what you're supposed to bring to the table, and also what tools do you have then. So like you were saying, Alex, like, what are the technical tools that we're using, or the co-working tools, in order to make this work virtually? But also adding on to what you said there, Mats, I think that having that clarity of what is expected of me for the first at least 2 weeks, and having a set schedule for that, that is the manager's responsibility to ensure that that schedule is set for everyone, because we do not really have those kind of mass introductions or startup weeks or onboarding programs in that sense. But being clear on what everyone is supposed to deliver and what everyone can expect. And I think that that's, you know, what has shown to be at least the best way to go about it from our end at this point.
Vedran, what do you say? You as a onboarding guru, I'm just imagining that you should have a lot of say in this.
Add that title, Vedran, to your CV, please.
I love that. I need to update my LinkedIn after this. I kind of want to build on what everyone has said previously. I think there's some really, really good points here. I love the concept of journeys that Matilda is talking about, because that's kind of a central point in our product. In the sense, we're kind of spoiled. We have our own product that assists us with this, but we also talk a lot about journeys and kind of giving everyone a solid base in terms of the onboarding, but then differentiating depending on the role or the location. So we also kind of branch out depending on the role. So when we onboard engineers, they have kind of the same onboarding. Then they go into an engineering specific onboarding, where we talk about tools, best practices, how we write code, how their first weeks are going to be. So we are very much automating the process that happens before, but then also trying to tailor it as much as we can to make it relevant. Because we've also seen that the engagement spikes as soon as an engineer gets an onboarding that's very kind of, this is going to be your work, this is going to be your tools, this is our processes. We see that they're much more engaging with that material, they're more curious about that. And that's also a common denominator we've seen, is that everyone is very eager to understand how the company works and the tools and the setup and how they're going to interact with others. And we spend a lot of time trying to communicate that and build on that feeling, as we talked about post-contract signing recruitment process. So I love the concept of a journey, because that's kind of the framing we have with our clients as well. You're going on a journey, and now we need to shape it with content, checkpoints, other important information to make it as engaging and to assist you, make you as productive as possible. And I think another point that Matilda raises really well is supporting managers in this as well, because onboarding is really hard. A lot of people are kind of spitballing, trying to figure it out as they go. And I think it's awesome if you can have tools that kind of relevantly support managers when they need to do something, because it's hard. Being a manager today is super, super hard. There's so many things, there's so many conflicting priorities, and you need all the help you can get. And it's awesome if there's tools and people around that can kind of support the manager during that pretty long process, because we usually talk about pre-boarding and onboarding. It's pretty much a 6 to 9 month process. So it's quite long, and there's a lot of checkpoints and things that needs to happen for everyone's sake, so to say. So that's the only thing I want to add to it.
We actually got a question regarding that as well. I will let you guys go more into this, but we actually got a question like, how do you engage and inform the managers about the onboarding process and what is expected from their end? And I think it was a very relevant question from what you were saying now, Vedran. What do you guys say?
I can just kind of tell you guys what we think about it. We're very kind of clear with what we expect from managers as well, because we kind of see that the onboarding is a part of their job description almost. It's kind of their responsibility to ensure that everyone gets the best possible start. So we're kind of very communicative in terms of what needs to happen when, and we kind of follow up on that as well. We have checklists and other touch points with the manager and the employee to ensure that things are happening the way we want them to happen. So it's about creating, a lot of clients talk about this, creating consistency across the entire company and ensuring that everyone gets the same experience, because it's kind of unfair if you get one manager that's awesome at onboarding and one that's not. And we try to support them with both tech and material, and then kind of follow up to ensure that we have consistent quality during the onboarding process.
And I think that you're touching on something there, Vedran, which is super important. It's about, and that goes back to, as in many countries, we have a work environment responsibility, right? And that is also to the manager's point, so to say, but actually being able to get the tools that you need for that, and actually having that discussion, that this is, it's a responsibility of yours, and actually putting it into the job description is something I think is valid for a lot, I would say, of the kind of traditional HR tasks, so to say, but actually, that understanding of, if you want to have a high performing team, if you want to have an engaged team, it all starts with that journey. So why don't we make that part of the journey the best possible? I think what I tend to think about, being in the outdoor industry and so on, and we usually use this analogy internally at Phoenix, is, you need to pack your backpack with this essential stuff that you need in order to make the hike, so to say, or in order to make the journey. And depending on how long the journey will be, different things you will need in the backpack, so to say. And I think that you need to carefully think about that. Okay, what things need to go in a new starter's backpack in order for them to thrive, in order for them to perform? And actually then from an HR side, or people or whatever, you know, that sits in your organization, making sure that those tools are accessible to the manager. So you cannot rely on the manager to invent everything him or herself. I think that that's the most important thing of an HR function as well, to be able to say like, okay, these are the tools that we will provide you with in order to make that experience great. And from that end, it could be, you know, a system solution. It could be like, these are the different tasks we see that you should be performing and so on. So it all depends on the context, right? But that's how we like to think about it, at least.
Yeah, I think there's so much to be said for that as well. I like that. I think you all touched on the same point of having throughout the journey the kind of more overall general company aspects of the onboarding, and then the more function or role specific. We've spent with some of our onboarding plans, like function specifics ones, we have a really similar vibe. Like, what are the things that we would like our new joiners to do, and what do we want to achieve at a company level? Like, how invested do you need to be in what the company is doing and what the mission of the company is, and like the space that we sit in, and then how does your role play into that? And I think definitely, Matilda, like you were saying, the HR function in that is to really facilitate the more company general things and overall, and support managers to be able to take their role specific things and really deliver them in a really engaging way as well.
Yeah, I really agree here, and also think that from a broader perspective, from HR perspective, you can do a lot of things like surveys and stuff for the employees that you send out. So how was your first week? How was your first month? So you really get the temperature of the individuals, how they think about the first time in the company. Because if you for example, the last kind of months, we have made a lot of onboarding journeys, which has been completely digital, and we sent out some surveys where we got some feedback that you know, the ones our more senior employees who is making educational presentations, they don't really know how to present and to take breaks, because it's really tough on the energy part of side to sit in these kind of long meetings, and then we got this feedback back to the organization, and then we made some adjustments, and right away we saw some really great results. So a great way is to not only make these surveys, but also talk about, yeah, now we are making some changes because we have learned and a lot from you guys. I think I see some interesting questions from you guys out there as well, and one is regarding how much time this should take for managers, and also I guess for the new employees, how long should they not be productive and like that. And I think it's really important to set clear goals from the beginning, and one fantastic way to set a goal is to set a common goal for the manager and the employee, so they work together to reach that goal. And it's a really hard question to answer, how much time a manager should spend with onboarding. My usual answer is as little as possible, but you have one of the most important tasks. So if you can do it fast, then do it fast. But this is it's really good to reflect how much time it takes, and it's not the most. I think it's more important to reach those goals and to get great evaluations from the new employees, because it's much more expensive if they stop working after 8 months because you're not doing this work great.
Yeah, we got a question on that same type of topic regarding because we're all in companies where we do a lot of onboardings and we're scaling up our business, and we had a question in the beginning of our talk regarding how we balance like a stellar onboarding experience with the need of business start work right away, because I feel like that's something we're facing all the time in a scale up, which Team Taylor is in. So I'm very curious to hear your answer to this.
I mean, I think it's the onboarding is for me, the more work you can do in the pre-boarding, in setting the frame for what you're supposed to accomplish, what's the company and all of that, as much as you can use that, the better, because that means that at the start date, the employee is already by then have built on their backpack of knowledge in order to be able to start and kick off. And then you can I think it's a little bit hardcore to first day, these are your goals, these are your OKRs, go get running on them. But I think that already, that's my experience at least, people want to know what's expected of them as soon as possible, having a kind of balance there between, okay, the tasks or the projects that you're working on in the onboarding or as a part of the onboarding should of course be linked to the business objectives that you're trying to do. So as a manager there, what you can do of course is trying to map okay, even if this person isn't totally up to speed, and of course this depends on the seniority of the person joining, because you can expect different things from a graduate versus someone who has been working for quite some while in an established position. So I think you just need to map out, okay, what are the projects where I can put this person to work so the person feel that they are delivering something, and also being able then to weave in the interactions, to weave in the different socialization, and also like someone mentioned, a buddy also now in the virtual environment is super good in order to capture all of those things that may pop up. But I would say, it isn't either it's production or it's productivity, or it's just a 1 month of listening in and onboarding. I think they can be combined in quite a good way. And you just, as a manager, you just have to set the time aside to what projects can I involve this person in? What makes sense from their learning perspective and so on. And it may seem quite fluffy, but I think once you get into the habit of it, and if you know your team, if you know the priorities, then you will actually know also, okay, what role is this person supposed to cover? What can I put that person on as a starting project in order to, and also task them with being that, so to say, critical eye, so to say, having an eye for, okay, what works? What are the questions you have? What are some things that we can learn from this newcomer as well, and being open to that. I also think you should weave that into your the journey that you're having. But you cannot expect someone, because you can't say that, okay, run from day one, but then you will have a problem most likely some months further down the road if they do not grasp the big thing from the start, so to say.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point, Matilda. It is kind of the eternal balance between wanting people to get started, people wanting to get started and wanting them to be productive, but also making sure they have gone through and they're not just there to do necessarily, depending on how you work in your company, but they're not just there to literally sit and do a job. We want them invested in what we're doing and what the company's mission is, and that takes a bit more time, I think. And I think there's quite a lot to be said as well in terms of the onboarding experience, especially now, in investing a little bit into more so listening to the employees and how they learn. If an employee naturally learns better doing practical things, then what could we give them that helps them get involved in that? If they like to, you know, read around the industry more and listen to like calls that have gone, if you have that, like tools that help you with that as well, do they listen more, or do they like to get involved and then have feedback on what could have been better and those kind of things? So it's definitely, and I think that's a challenge for managers, especially now being remote, but I think something, if you can put a bit more focus on working with them and checking in more to see like how they best can receive training and throughout the onboarding, I think it's going to be a better experience for them and help them be productive sooner as well.
And that was very clear from the poll that one of the like biggest challenges right now is the maintaining quality remotely. So I mean, obviously it's the pink elephant in the room that we're still under the pandemic. So I mean, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. How do you actually maintain the quality now during the last year, and how has it developed in any specific way since Corona strike, basically?
You want to go, Mats, or?
Who wants to tackle it?
I can start. There's a lot to say. I think first of all, it's been we learned so much during this year, and a lot of things we are keeping for the future as well. I think from the beginning we saw a much bigger need in to schedule meetings to make them happen. So we have like a regular check-in with we have a buddy system or a mentoring system where every new employee gets a mentor, and a regular year we just we educate the mentor to so they know their responsibilities, but this year we also said that you need to schedule, you know, you should have at least 3 interactions, maybe even more for the first 2 months, and that became something really great from our end. We saw that the mentor and the new employee got a really good connection at first. I think it's really important. One other thing that we have learned is also not to forget the pure social stuff. To have a coffee break, or to have a digital lunch, or just to have some time where you mingle with employees. We had like one initiative was that we told I think it was 20 of our most senior consultants that they should call a random new colleague, and it doesn't matter at all what they talked about. and that was so funny, because it was like these people who have worked at our place for 10 years. They at first they thought, why should I make this? What should we talk about? And when we follow up on that initiative, they were also happy. They had talked about so many things that and had a lot of common with new guys, and make friends, and instantly we also felt that our companies was closer together. So one thing, if I should point out one thing, is to not forget about the pure social stuff, and because it's so important for the personal relationships to build inside a company.
No, I think in that the connection is actually established in the interpersonal sort of meetings that we have. And I think that virtually, I mean, there's so many cues in a physical meeting between 2 people that you can build on. You know, you see a person 3-dimensionally, that's totally different. I mean, I've hired people to my team this year or last year as well that I've never even met them in person, which is like, that's a different thing. But on the other hand, we have established a much more closer bond than, you know, what I may have been able to do in even a physical setting. It's all about how you do it. And I also saw a question, you know, that as of today, most of the time, you know, onboarding process runs remotely, and how do you connect with the company and the team members? Well, first of all, like, discuss it, you know, with the newcomers who have actually joined. What could we do better? So data is your number one go-to thing here. Like, you know, do some interviews, do some surveys if you can do that. Do some focus groups into how can we actually make this even better. But just these like virtual coffees, as you were saying, virtual lunches, having after works. Those kind of regular things that we did in an office in order to create that connection, we can also do in a little bit of a different setting, but we can still do them remotely. We did the Christmas party for remotely last year, and it was, you know, a blast. Now we have like blind coffees with different people in the organization. So you sign up in a sheet, and then you get like a person in the organization that you most probably have never met before from somewhere from the globe. And then you can actually, you know, have a coffee with them, just discussing life or whatever. I also saw one of the most nice things I think about, you know, if we're going to talk about the pros of being able to work virtually, is that we have, you know, been able to get a glimpse into people's personal space in a good way, I think, because whenever a child gets in screen, or whenever a dog or another animal, bird, whatever, gets into the screen of a Teams call or a Zoom call, everyone is like, oh my God. And I think that those are the small things, like encourage your employees to bring their dogs into a meeting, because it will naturally like create that atmosphere. The campfire is a super important symbol in our company. You know, we all kind of gather around the campfire. And how can we do that virtually? Well, it is about, you know, telling stories. It's about, you know, gathering around something that we all feel connected to. So try to find that point of connection in your own organizations. But this has been like, you know, a year of innovation in that sense. How can we do it? There are no limits. I think that, you know, use the team you have. You do not have to sit on your own to come up with these things.
I love all these nature, like little sayings and things that you have at Phoenix. They're so nice. I think
that's the benefit of working in an outdoor company, that you can use many of these kind of things.
I'm trying to think of some I can start using for Bob now. I think one thing that's been really nice for us that I've found a lot, we've had new people joining us now for the last few months in all of our sites. And actually one massive perk of being remote and global is that we're actually probably operating so much more globally than we used to. Like, we would have done a lot of these coffee breaks and team lunches in the office before, and you probably would have spent a lot more time with the people that you see every day in the office. And actually, one thing that's been so lovely is that you meet people all over the world now who you might not ever get to see or meet before. And I don't know if everyone's going to get to meet in person fully when we can all travel again, but actually you've built these really nice connections with people from all over. So we have, similar to you, Matilda, like donut that matches you randomly for coffee breaks and that kind of thing. And we actually started at the end of last year, we started doing like orientation days, but we call them Onboardings. So it's like 3, and we decided to run them globally. So rather than doing like a full day of orientation, because no one wants to sit on Zoom the entire day like that, so we run them for like 3 days in a row, but 2 hours at a time. And everyone who joined us, I think now we're running them like every other month. So we'll have like a nice group of new joiners come, and they'll hear from our CEO, all of our senior leadership, and they'll share like the mission for their department, what their department does, use our org chart and show like who the team is. So I think that's something that's actually been really nice. And then everyone feels like definitely way more connected to the company and gets to see a bit of everything that goes on outside of their specific role as well, which has been really nice.
I think one thing that's been awesome with being remote as well is that more and more people have rethought their onboarding. I think it's kind of shifted it much more in focus, which I think has been super beneficial. I think to some extent people relied a bit too much on, we'll figure it out whenever they come in and sort those things out. So I think it's also been very beneficial to kind of review, what are we doing, when are we doing, how do we do it in a more scalable way as well. I think one thing we've been doing more is more screen recordings, more videos that we share ahead, which has been an awesome way to both introduce them to tools, but also to people, to things that are going to happen, to projects. And we've done it super, super basic. We've basically done a bunch of screen recordings we glued together and kind of sent out to them ahead so they can kind of see what they want and need. And I think being remote has also stressed much more conversations between people and kind of checking in more often and asking how things are going, and also being a bit more understanding. I think that's also been a benefit because you're not in the office. Everyone's a bit more understanding and a bit more supportive, especially kind of in this remote setting. I just kind of wanted to shimmy that in.
I think this is so true.
I love that.
Yeah, because you can, I think what's so nice about that is, and we've done the same actually, but then we also found that it can be a challenge if we start screen recording everything and just sending load of videos. I don't want new people sat just watching videos all day. So how do we make sure then that actually they get a coffee break, they get to do something different, they do a task or something to just kind of mix it up a bit as well, so they get a little bit of everything and that maybe suits their needs as well a bit more.
I think that the blended experience, I mean, the same way I don't think, and I know that there might be different opinions on this, but the same way I think that you shouldn't sit in a classroom training for 2 full days and you think that you are going to grasp a lot of learning from that. I think learning is done mainly on the job and in connection to your teammates, and actually being able to have actionable learning onboarding resources that you can put to practice. And really kind of assessing yourself, because as you're saying, Alex, they're like just putting a video out. It's also like one of the super nice things that technology, leaves us with, so to say, but also having a purpose with it. So after watching this video, this is what I want you to go doing, just so that you put it into context, into what the role is about and how they can actually kind of use it. I think that's super important, as both you and you also, Vedran, was speaking about.
Yeah, I think it's super important that the video is not an excuse. It should be a teaser for something else. I just want to kind of set that setting, because it's super easy to just record your screen for half an hour and then think like you're all good now, time to do work. So I think it should be a teaser to a conversation or to something else to explore together. So I kind of want to add that as well.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say that we only have 5 minutes left, so I'm gonna let you, Mats, say what you wanted to say, and then we're gonna finish off with a question that I thought we could do just like 20 seconds each, basically, by the end. So Mats, first you, and then we'll take the question.
I just wanted to fill in the same thing as Vedran said there, where I think it's really great to have some pre-recorded material, but it's a good point that you shouldn't see this as a total. So the people, you can make up some time and make free some time, but you should do something for the employee with the time that you have saved as well. So it's a great complement with pre-recorded material, but it's really great to follow that up. So it was basically a +1.
I love that. And we actually got a question a very practical question in the Q&A about if we have any fun and creative tips on small but memorable things you can do during a pre-boarding. And I'm gonna use my 20 seconds to say that we at Team Taylor, we actually have a Slack channel called LinkedIn, where we are also general, where we like post if a new starter is joining. So everybody basically goes into that profile, adds them on LinkedIn, gives them a warm welcome, and that happens basically the same week as they sign their contract. So then I got like 80 messages welcoming me to Team Taylor, so it was quite good. So that was my tip.
Yeah, and I can. We have a similar one, but we send out the flower to everyone that starts, and it's quite. They get kind of what is this all about? Getting a flower a week ahead of a new work, but it's really appreciated, and it's so easy to do. So that's a tip from me. A simple flower.
Now I feel like I need to come with something that is super like, oh my God, because I so like this, you know, Martin, I love that idea. I will steal it right up front.
Yeah, I'm thinking this one.
It was like, oh, great, now I can steal stuff. No, but I think like just assigning and getting to, you know, with that buddy thing and getting it going is really important. So the employee feels that they actually have a go-to person. So I'm going to go with what has worked a lot for us. But I love that LinkedIn thing. And also, you know, what we are aiming to do, or what we would like to do also, that might be one step ahead, is actually sending out a package with, you know, everyone gets this backpack as well. So the Konken backpack that is sent to the people who are actually joining us, which is also a gift then. But maybe everyone, or I'm very happy if you want to send everyone a Konken backpack, you know, be my guest. But that's also one way to represent the company in that sense.
Yeah, that's so nice. Yeah, we have started sending out like swag boxes, which are really nice. So I think if you're able to do that, it's so nice to just send a little like kit with a hoodie and stuff like that. I don't know why necessarily, but everyone loves swag so much. And we always share on day one, we post a shout out to introduce the new starter with like a little bit about them, the team they're joining, that kind of thing. So everyone knows they arrived no matter where you are.
A few things we do. We always invite them for a coffee ahead of their first day with their team, just like a Zoom link, 20 minutes just to get to know each other. We also ask them during their pre-boarding favorite candy, and kind of in the swag box, we pack a ton of favorite candy and like the other stuff. And I usually write a note. So I actually take the time to write a note, like, we're super excited that you're joining. Here's a ton of candy. Survive the first week. It gets easier after that, usually. That's kind of what we do.
That's nice.
Those are some great and practical tips, and we actually do a send out as well. I didn't even mention that. We send a package, as you mentioned, Alex, with like with a sweater and just a note, welcome to the family, basically. So I think these are like super relevant tips. I think we're sort of aligned in a lot of topics, hearing what you're saying. And maybe I wanted to see if there are any final words before we start to round up this webinar. I think a lot of participants maybe have meetings from 4, but we can still, if there are any final words on your end, the panel.
Spend some time on crafting the experience and like what we want the experience to be, and really think about that. And then I would say that, you know, I guess I'd speak for all of us, like, connect with us on LinkedIn and we can continue the discussion there, because I see that there are many, many questions and comments and so on. So, you know, for me, that's totally fine for you if you want to reach out and we can continue the discussion.
Yeah, I just want to say, invest some time in the onboarding. It pays so huge dividend later on. It makes people more productive faster, they're more engaged, churn will go down. It may be a bit cumbersome to start with it, but definitely do it. It's so worth it. And people are going to get more excited about starting. It has so much positive ripple effects. So I just kind of want to push that one more time.
Yeah, I guess just to echo that, I think a lot of what we've said has kind of echoed the point of like automating things where you can. So you're taking advantage of tools and using those kind of things so that actually we can spend more time on the human side of things and connecting with people. Just a kind of overall experience is like a good combination of those things, I think.
I really agree with you all guys, and also I think if I want to add something that I talked about previous, is also to ask questions and to make surveys with the newcomers, because if we make changes on their feedback, they really feel welcomed, and they also from the beginning feels that they are part of the company's journey, and they are making their impact in very important areas. So take feedback and credit them who got the great ideas, that they will appreciate it so much.
I love that. I feel like we need to do like volume 2 of this webinar. There's so much to discuss. No, but thank you so much. I have so many great questions. I think we will try to answer them separately later on. So we will save them and try to reply to as much as many, and then just send out to the participants. And I just wanted to thank the panel again for participating. It was so much fun, and this hour went by so quickly. I felt like I wanted to ask so many questions, but maybe if we do it again, we can take some follow-up.
Sounds good. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us, Martin, and thank you to all participants. Super nice seeing all your questions, and let's stay in touch.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, thank you everyone, and have a lovely week, and happy Easter coming up.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, everyone. Bye.
Bye.